Welcome back to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. You're watching our weekend special, Super Achievers Making New India, powered by Voicewhat. In this segment, we put the spotlight on India's rapidly evolving education sector, and my colleague Pooja Jain caught up with Inventure Academy's founding CEO and managing trustee, Nooraine Fazal, who shared insights on what's next on the horizon for the academy. Listen in.
An institution where education meets excellence and every student is on a journey to success. Established in 2005, Inventure Academy is a beacon of learning offering pre-kindergarten to senior secondary education. This academy believes in nurturing individual excellence and creating a learning community that empowers students to thrive and contribute to a better world. Their state-of-the-art facilities, from modern classrooms to well-equipped libraries, science labs and sports facilities, provide students with the resources they need to excel, both academically and personally. It's more than just a school. It's a place where curiosity is encouraged, creativity is celebrated, collaboration is key, and global citizenship is instilled in every student. Inventure Academy is not just a school. It's a stepping stone to world-class education, shaping future leaders, thinkers, and global citizens. Here, education is an inspiring journey of discovery and growth. Joining us today is the founding CEO and managing trustee of Inventure Academy, Nooraine Fazal. Listen in.
Nooraine, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. And for sake of some context setting and for the benefit of our viewers, how has Inventure Academy's mission and vision evolved over the years?
Firstly, thank you so much for being here, Pooja. It's a pleasure to host you and the crew from ET Now at Inventure Academy. So it really started way back in 2005. We started with 29 students and 19 members of the faculty on a farm not so far away from here in Whitefield.
Right.
So it really started with the seed of an idea, and today we've got over 1,500 students with a student-teacher ratio of about 6.5:1.
Remarkable.
And absolutely been remarkable. And what's remarkable is when I think back to the measures of success that we had thought about, we've absolutely met them all. We have a happy, safe school where students, faculty, parents really love being a part of the community. It's a thriving community. And if you look at our rankings, we've been ranked #1 in South India since for the last 4 years, and we've been judged as School of the Year by Education World across the country this year.
Right.
And that's really in recognition of all that we're doing to contribute to the wider community. So I'd like to share some examples with you.
Please.
So for example, when the pandemic hit, as you know, governments across the world shut campuses. Our government went further and they actually banned online education.
Right.
So Inventure created a consortium called the Right-to-Learn, and we led this consortium and really had a dialogue with the government. We also created a white paper to share best practices to show how it's possible to do online learning in an effective and a child-safe way. We also went to court on this. And fortunately, we won that. We've also really doing a lot of work to take the Inventure way to children across the socioeconomic spectrum. So 4 years ago, we adopted a government school called Ramgandanahalli Government School in Whitefield. There were less than 200 students there, and today there are more than 900 students. And if you look at their learning outcomes, they are doing way better than the benchmark across Karnataka and across the country. We really want to do a lot more to bridge the gap and to ensure there's far more equality of opportunity for children across the spectrum.
Well, Nooraine, what a journey it's been. And amidst the journey and its twists and turns, the top priority here at Inventure Academy seems to always be providing a holistic education. How do you inculcate that in your academic frameworks and day-to-day life here on campus?
So we really can't understand why people continue educating their children in the same way that they were educated when everything else, including how we consume our news and how we create news, for example, has changed. And the biggest driver and the biggest disruptor, of course, is technology, right? So if you look at it from the perspective that mundane things are going to be taken care of by technology, we really need to focus on what makes us human and do a lot better than that and be a lot better.
Sure.
So the way we teach at school is in primary school and middle school, in addition to teaching what's in the syllabus, we take the approach we follow is the problem-based learning approach, and in senior school it's a project-based learning approach. So there's a lot more focus on understanding the interconnectedness between disciplines, it's far more interdisciplinary and more focused on teaching children to understand and solve problems that we as the world face today.
Well, Nooraine, I've got a follow-up question for you there,
Right.
because in the short time that my team has spent here on campus, we can't help but notice that the students here have imbibed a love for learning, right? Where does that stem from, and how do you ensure that that sentiment sustains over time?
It starts from the very basis of our foundation, right? When we started Inventure, we started with the belief that each one of us is unique, we're inherently talented, each have potential. And the purpose of education needs to be to untap that potential.
Sure.
Now, when I was a child in school, I really disliked going to school. I remember being dragged along, literally kicking, screaming, and throwing up every morning.
Against your will.
Absolutely, because it felt like an assembly line. There was very little freedom to think, to express. There was a lot of focus on compliance and a lot of focus for learning towards a high-stake exam. Whereas here, we teach children to learn how to learn. We teach them a lot of life skills in terms of even our response to the pandemic. We demonstrated, we walked the talk in terms of resilience, adaptability, being entrepreneurial, being change makers. So there's a lot of focus on life skills.
Right.
And really getting them to love the process of learning. We actually give students 2 hours a week in senior school to work on projects that they're interested in and they're passionate about. So I think what has changed and what is different about Inventure is students have a lot of choice, they have a lot of voice, including, as I discussed with you, the Our Voice platform. Most times children are not asked what they think. They're
Right.
not asked about how they want to learn.
Yeah.
Even with school, we do a lot of satisfaction surveys. We use design thinking to figure out how best to teach, how to organize our timetable, even, for example. So in primary school, 60% of the time is focused on academics, and 40% on what we call beyond academics, which is the arts, which is maker space. In senior school, there's a lot of focus on internships, on community service, on giving back. So that really comes back to even the way Inventure's evolved. You know, when we first started, it was about enabling every child to fulfill their potential.
Sure.
Now, the focus is on that, but it's also about igniting change and being positive impact makers.
Well, it's so wonderful to hear that. And, you know, Nooraine, I think all of that aside for a moment, the harsh reality is that education as a sector is becoming increasingly competitive. And parents are now spoiled for choice, right? So that said, tell us more about the campuses that are part of the Inventure Academy network, if I can call it that, and the amenities and facilities on offer, because I think that really piques the interests of students and parents in terms of even initiating the thought behind where to send their kid to school.
India is spoiled for choice in many ways. You have a range of schools, you have international schools, you have central board schools, you have state board schools, and they basically cater to every desire, want and need.
Yes.
But what we find here at Inventure is parents pretty much self-select based on the philosophy of the school. The people who come to Inventure are people who recognize that education cannot be just about preparing children for a test.
Sure.
It has to be preparing them for life.
Right.
And it's not just about being the best that you can be, but also contributing to society, contributing to humanity and the world around you.
Sure.
So in that sense, it's not really quote unquote competitive, but we are giving parents choice in terms of campuses. Here you've got a beautiful green 37-acre campus in the heart of India's Silicon Valley, an IT corridor. We've got another school in Yashwantpur, which is more of an urban vibe. It's got everything the school has to offer, which is really enabled at helping kids figure out. It's aimed at enabling students to figure out what their passion is.
Right.
And I really do think education should be about finding that sweet spot. Right? What are you good at doing? What do you love doing? What does the world need? And what can you get paid for? As you said, your entire life, you knew you wanted to be a journalist.
Yes.
So in the same way, we want to give children exposure to a range of areas. I mentioned production to you, the Model United Nations, the Youth Parliament. We have a very strong sports program. Every child at Inventure plays sport every single day. So whether it's a 37 acre campus or it's our new campus in Yashwantpur, which is more vertical, there's tremendous focus on giving children opportunities to just explore just about everything they want to.
Phenomenal. And Nooraine, carry on, please.
Sorry, we're working on setting up one more campus in Devanhalli, which will focus more on children who want to pursue sport. India is a country is very passionate about viewing sport, and now thanks to that exposure and thanks to more global opportunities and leagues such as the IPL and Kabaddi and ISL and so on, people can actually pursue a living with sport as well. And even if they don't make it as an athlete, you can work on a plan B which is related to sport. So we're going to open that school in 2025. The other area of focus in campus, of course, as I mentioned, is the public-private partnership with the government school that we run. We want to do the same in each of the areas that Inventure is based in.
I don't blame them. And you mentioned that parents, self-select Inventure on the basis of the school's philosophy. And the school's tagline is, of course, New World, New Learning. What is the essence of that tagline, and how does it reflect here on this campus and amongst that student mindset?
So when we started the school, it was with the recognition that the world requires a whole new, different way of learning. Yes, build on traditions, build on what we've been doing well, but we need to do a lot more. So it really comes from there, and as you can see from our programs, whether it's our theme-based learning approach or whether it's our project and problem-based learning approach, we're even creating our own high school diploma at Inventure, because boards normally give you credits just for academics, whereas we recognize that each child is unique and they're going to have different pathways that they're going to want to take in life. So we are giving credits for academics as well as for co-curricular, as well as for internships, for community outreach, and so on. So it really recognizes the world, new learning is basically saying that when everything else has changed, why not change the way we educate our children?
Phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And we wish you and the larger Inventure Academy family all the very best for the future.
Thank you very much, and likewise.
And it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.